Victorian door hardware is so satisfying to restore, and when renovating our bedroom we found some original finger plates we absolutely knew we had to save. So let me take you on the journey of bringing these over 130-year-old details back to life, showing you every single step of the process and revealing their true beauty through hours and hours of hard work, and of course the very satisfying end result. So let's get into it. Our house was built in the 1890s, and although a lot of the original features had been removed over the years, a few original doors remained along with their hardware. Now, one thing I spotted when we first moved in was this interesting swirly pattern hiding under many years of gloss paint, but now I know this is called a door finger plate, and they were very popular in the Georgian and Victorian periods, installed to stop you getting finger marks and dirt all over your nice new wooden doors. We had one on the main bedroom door, and I spotted another on one of the old cupboards in the room, so while the doors themselves were broken, busted and not savable, I made sure we didn't lose the chance to keep these beautiful original features. So let me show you how we did just that. First up was stripping off the paint, so gloves on, cling film at the ready, and then I covered both of the finger plates in very thick layers of a liquid putty-like paint stripper called Klingstrip. Now this is a very strong paint stripper which you need to apply a lot of. No thin coverings here. When you think you've put enough on, add some more. And I'm just using an old paintbrush to apply it, and you definitely want to wear gloves with this one. The good thing about strippers like this is that they can cut through a lot of paint at once, and you can use them on wood, metal, stone, many different surface types without absolutely ruining what's underneath. Peel away is very similar, but I just already had a tub of Klingstrip in that I could use. Now why bother with this stage? Why not just get a screwdriver straight underneath and ping them off? Well, the tiny little screws holding the finger plates onto the doors were absolutely caked, and I didn't want to risk damaging them by just ripping them off, so this was a way to delicately and hopefully safely remove them. You cover the stripper in cling film to keep that moisture in, keep it wet and working for around 24 hours before you remove it all, and the paint should come off easily with it. I'm going to be showing you that very satisfying moment in just a minute, but first I repeated this same process on the cupboard door finger plate, which as you can see we literally sawed this section off so we didn't have to hold onto the full door while we were renovating the rest of the room. The door itself was beyond a lost cause, but I'm so glad we kept this small section of it, and you'll soon see why. And as I've road tested this, I'd absolutely recommend using this paint stripper on other hardware like door locks, handles, hinges, anything small and easily coverable to get that old paint off. The stripper itself isn't cheap, but it definitely does the job on tough layers of paint that have been there for many, many years. I don't know when this white gloss was added, probably 20 plus years ago. We also found it all over our Victorian staircase handrails, spindles, everywhere. I just wish I could go back in time and tell the previous owners to put down the gloss and leave everything alone, honestly. But now we cover the finger plate in cling film, leave it for a day before coming back to see what's happened overnight. Now you can instantly see that browning where it's bringing the oils out of the paint and starting to lift it all, which is a great sign. Now Klingstrip is meant to cling to your cling film as you pull it off, but I find it pulls away slightly, so having a scraper to hand to help take it off is an essential for me. I've sped this up for you as I went really slowly, trying to peel off as much of the paint stripper in one go as possible, just rolling it downwards, and you can already see it's cut through so many layers of that gloss paint. I really didn't know what I was going to find under this. I assumed metal, but I had no idea which type and what it would actually look like. So I went in with a dry cloth to get the remaining stripper off, and you can start to see the true colour of the finger plate here, which was such a good moment. The beautiful ornate detailing and the fact that it was all fully intact was just brilliant. But we still had quite a way to go here. Who knew if they'd survive beyond this stage, but it was so worth the risk and the time spent on this process already. Now onto the second finger plate. The stripper came off in a really similar way. No surprises here, and I was just coaxing it off really gently to ensure I wouldn't damage anything by being too rough. I haven't really seen anyone else find or restore these as part of a renovation project, but they must be out there on doors across the world, and I feel so strongly that when you find these amazing little pieces of history, you should do what you can within reason to bring them back to life and keep them. Now that's not always possible, but with small details like this, it was totally worth it. Once I'd got most of the paint off, I could finally get to these tiny ancient screws. They were so small, but I do think it's incredible that the last person who turned these was probably the person who screwed them into the door over 130 years ago. And special moments like this, knowing how much history our home has, never ceases to amaze me. And once I'd got them off the doors, I was so surprised at how thin and light they were. They felt like tins, so delicate you could bend them in half with so little effort. But to me this wasn't a problem because I could now see they were actually in excellent condition, and being so lightweight they'd be so easy to reinstall on our new doors. I wasn't sure if this bright gold patch on the back was showing me what colour they'd originally been before wear, tear and layers of gloss got to them, but it was a glimmer of hope that we'd find a nice brassy tone underneath maybe. So then came the big cleanup. After a bit of research online, I decided to douse them in a diluted white vinegar solution, which is good for removing grime and stains, and as the finger plates were covered in so much muck still, I was hoping this would help lift it all up. I used an extra strong white vinegar I picked up at Screwfix, mixed with boiling water as per the instructions, and I'd never done this before, So this was very much a suck it and see situation. And here's how the finger plates looked before going in. I left them in the solution for about an hour and a bit, and straight away I could see those flecks of paint and that grime all starting to come off. The water was filthy, let me tell you. So once the finger plates had soaked for long enough, I removed them with tongs, gloves on. You really don't want to get any of the solution on your hands. And were they looking any better? I mean, slightly, a bit brighter maybe, definitely more of that brassy gold tone coming through already. So now it was time to scrub and scrub and scrub some more. I'm speeding this up for you because I went at this for a while with a small soft brush, not a wire brush, as I didn't want to create any scratch marks in the metal. Just trying to get off any last bits of stubborn paint, any dirt, grime, whatever was living on them still, especially in the more detailed ornate areas at the top and bottom. And you can see already just from a big scrubbing that the front one is looking so much brighter. But I'm also a big believer in not going for perfect, going for good enough. And given the age and what these finger plates have been through over the years, I was just trying to get them looking better, but while still showing their character and history. For the really tough bits of paint, I got a scraper involved to just lift and flick that off, which I actually really enjoyed. Very satisfying indeed. And just bit by bit, step by step, these two forgotten finger plates were starting to come back to life, and they were putting up my scraping and scrubbing so well. Whatever they're made of, it's tough stuff because I didn't damage them at all. They weren't bending or snapping, and they were cleaning up an absolute treat. And you might think, well, surely that's it. They must be done. But no, the final stage is honestly what takes them from a 6 to a 10. I left the finger plates to dry, and that's when I spotted this interesting engraving saying British made. Again, a lovely special historic detail, and I'd love to find out where these might have come from originally. But now for the final part of the restoration process, I grabbed some Brasso to polish the finger plates up and bring that beautiful brass shine back. And you can see just how quickly this works and elevates the colour of the metal. It's a polish, not a paint, so it adds that gorgeous gold sheen without covering up anything. Now, I thought the finger plates would be super clean after their bath, but no, this was still bringing up so much filth. I just used a microfiber cloth to buff in the Brasso while cutting through any remaining grime and muck. This step really transformed the finger plates and started to show me what they might have looked like originally, but with that slight tarnish that just shows off their history, and I personally feel adds a bit of character. I know there are lots of different polish, rub-on products that add that brassy effect to metal, but I already had this Brasso and find it really handy for things like our brass door knocker and locks, anything you want to bring that gold shine back to. And if you compare them side by side here, you can see the difference the cleaning, scrubbing and polishing has made. Perfect? Nope, but so much better? Absolutely. So now all that's left to do is install them onto our new doors. And once the renovations had moved along, this was very much one of the final steps to get these rooms fully finished. We chose the placement on the first door, just above the doorknob, and used tape to hold it in place while we made pilot holes for the screws. We ensured it was level and centered it on this part of the door, making sure there was an equal gap either side. Now, the original screws did not make it, so I bought these teeny ones in the same brass colour to replace them, which were absolutely perfect. We drilled small pilot holes into the wooden door, always safer to do this than risk splitting the wood by screwing straight into it. Then we could just pop those screws in and remove the tape. The finger plates are so lightweight, so it didn't really need anything more heavy duty to hold them in place. This is the door to our spare bedroom, and honestly, this is such a gorgeous detail to have. I think it just adds so much character and life to what is a plain door. And even better, we had two of them, so the other finger plate went onto our main bedroom door following the exact same process and placement. And although this looks like a lot of work, all of these stages weren't super tricky. They just took a bit of time and extra planning, but none of that was wasted when you see what we've ended up with. It is amazing to me that these beauties were just hiding under that gloss paint, just sitting there waiting to be rescued, and I'm so proud to be the person who bothered to do just that. These gorgeous finger plates are a reminder of the history this house has, adding beautiful details to our bedrooms just for the sake of it, because I personally think small things like this really make the difference between a bland and an interesting, considered home. Thank you so much for watching, and do subscribe to my channel for more home renovation, DIY and history just like this.